Hello everyone, this is going to be a setup of the fog imaging server. The last time I did one of these tutorials was in 2012. I thought it was getting kind of old, so I believe that was version like 0.32 at the time. We're up as high as version 1.20 now, so I wanted to do a new tutorial on it. I did notice that you cannot run Kubuntu or Ubuntu 16. Their requirements are allowing only PHP 7, so we need PHP 5 currently if you want to use just the installer. I'm also going to set this up so that you can make this a standalone system in any one of your domains. So if you wanted to just set this up by itself, but you're going to have to do the initial install by connecting to the internet to get that portion of it to work, and then we're going to go through changing the IP address as well, so that you can change all of the IP addresses to whatever internal one that you want, so you can get this to work in an internal domain without an internet connection at all. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue. So I've already downloaded and I've already set up Windows 10. I'm going to image Windows 10 and I'm going to set this up with Kubuntu 14.04. So to do so, I'm also using VMware 12 Workstation to do this. However, you can use VirtualBox and you can use the player version as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and click New, Virtual Machine, click Next. And I'm going to install this later, so I'm not going to select my Kubuntu version right at this moment. So what I want to do is I want to say that this is a Linux version of Ubuntu, and I want to select Ubuntu 64-bit to do this. Click Next, and being that this is a requirement, I'm going to call this the fog imaging. And what I'm going to do is I need to change it to a location to where that I have another drive. Now yours may be different than mine, but I'm going to set these drives up on another specific drive. It's going to call this fog server, where I'm going to put the image so it's on that drive. Click Next on it. I want to be able to make enough space in here so that I can have enough imaging. So I'm going to say 100 gigabits. Use it as a single file. And I'll click Next on it, and I'm going to change the hardware settings because we do need a couple of things to change here. We need at least 4 gigs of RAM to get it to work properly, and we want to change it to 2 processors. That's about the minimum. And I would turn on the virtualization, virtualize the CPU performance counters. I would turn them on. It does seem to help it install fairly quickly. I want to go ahead and leave it in NATed mode at the current point in time. This allows me to get on the internet, it gives an IP address, and it'll allow it to authenticate, plus it'll be able to install all the plugins for the script within the VM. So I'm going to go ahead and click Close since that's been modified. Those changes are what I want. And then once it creates the fog or the virtual machine, I'm going to go ahead and edit the virtual machine settings. And what I want to do is I want to go ahead and select the DVD, and I'm going to select my image, my fog image. I believe I've downloaded it and I left it on the desktop. Oh no, I actually put it on my external drive here under downloads, I believe. Yes, here it is right here, Kubuntu 14.04. And I'm using the 64-bit version. And go ahead and click OK. And I'll fire it up, and then I'm going to pause it when in between the times when it's downloading things. I'm going to pause it so that you don't have to watch me or watch it install. So let's go back here and click Enter on it to install Kubuntu. And again, so you remember, the reason why I'm not using the newest version is it does not support PHP 5. Kubuntu 16 only supports PHP 7, and this is why Fog has not made it to where it's updated to run PHP 7 just quite yet. They're probably working on it currently. And when this comes up here, go ahead and show you the settings that I'm going to set it up with so that you're familiar with it. And it's come up here. I'm going to click on the icon to install Kubuntu. And I need to drag this over because my little VM is a little bit smaller window, so I'm going to click Continue here. And I want to install now, and it's going to ask me, do I want to use the entire hard drive? I'm clicking Continue. Of course, yes, I want to use the entire drive on this setup. And my time zone is correct. Yours may be different. Click Continue. and continue again as the US or the English keyboard for US. I'm going to put in what I want to call mine, and I'm going to pick a password for it. And I want to change this to fog imaging is what I want to call my server. Click continue on it, and now it's just going to install, and I'm going to pause the video until it's finished. Alright, it finished, and I'm just going to show you the restart process. It's probably going to ask me to eject any CD-ROM data here at the next screen. Yep, it does. Hit enter on it. And it did, if you look down here, it did eject my CD. You'll see that there's nothing in there at the moment, or at least it's blank. So it's choosing to boot from the operating system. This doesn't take too dreadfully long. Alright, let's go ahead and log in with whatever password that you gave it, or whatever you've called your machine. And then what I'm going to do is, once this boots up, is we're going to go through the upgrade process. We're going to upgrade the operating system, everything in it, all of its components. We're going to do it in a couple of commands to get this done. And one of the first things I'm going to do is close down this free menu. Click on the Kubuntu icon here, and I'm going to type in TER for terminal. And I'm going to go ahead and right click on the console, and I want to add it to the desktop. And I'm going to go ahead and type in FIR so I can get Firefox to come up, and I'm going to add it to the desktop as well, because we want to download Kubuntu from it, and we have them both. So let's go to our console. Whoops, I pressed it twice. And the first thing I want to do is I want to type in sudo space apt-get, and then say update. And I'll put in my password. And it's going through to update it as well. Any ones that it sees that it needs to get done. So I'm going to hit the arrow up key to complete the last command and say upgrade. It's going to ask me, do I want to do this? Yes, I do. And I found a few packages it needs to update. Go through, and I answered yes. And I'm going to go through and let those happen. See, what's fun about this is that you guys have to realize too is that you have to be connected to the internet to actually get the final portion of the fog server to authenticate. So, and I found that trying to do it without it won't do it. So that's why I need to have an internet connection, at least for the first part of it, and then I'm going to change it to the IP address that I want to have the machine maintained from. So it can be anything, your internal network, or if you're going to make it a standalone. And I'm going to set it up with settings that are just my preference of what IP addresses that I like to. But I'm going to go through the whole process, how to change the IP address to it. And it is kind of lengthy, but you know, I would suggest that you go back through the video, watch it a few times, then you can learn how to do it. It's not going to be real easy at first, and it's not, definitely you're going to see that it's very cumbersome, but it's doable. And it can be done, and it is worth learning and doing the knowledge to get it done. So this should be done here shortly. If not, I'm going to go ahead and pause it, and then I'll come back after it's done here. So bear with me for a moment. I'm going to pause. And it's done. I mean, that was pretty quick. I thought it was going to take a lot longer than that, but it didn't. It actually took about 2 minutes to do. So I don't need to worry about this system update that it's trying to get me to do. So now what I want to do is, since I've done this, since I've run this, I want to reboot it. And I know Linux people may cry at me for doing this, but I've just seen it work a little bit more successful with rebooting it. So I typed in sudo space reboot. And it is booting up just about now. I'm going to take about a couple of seconds here. It's probably going to take about 25 seconds to boot up, which is going pretty quickly. And no point in pausing the video. This is just too fast to even worry about it. So now it's booting up to the screen. No sweat. There we go. And we're logging in again. And the first thing I'm going to do is download Kubuntu, or sorry, not Kubuntu, Fog Image Server, the newest one here. I believe they do have a 1.3.0, but that one's in beta right now, so that wouldn't be recommended to get it. So I'm going to go ahead and open up Firefox here. And let's go ahead and go to Google. And I'm going to just type in Fog Imaging, and we'll go to the Fog project. And let's drop this down. Let's click download. Yes, my download will start in 3 seconds. Alright, I want to click save the file. You notice it says it's fog_1.2.0 tar.gz. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And we are downloading it right now. It says it's going to take 28 minutes. I'm going to go ahead. Well, it's not taking that long. It's dropping down to 3 minutes. And I'm going to pause it just in case, and then I'll come back when it's done here. Well, now it's down to 2 minutes. All right, it's just about done. Just a few seconds. There we go. All right, so we don't need to have the web browser open to do this part of it. I'm going to close it down. And first thing I'm going to do is go back to my console, and I need to change over CD to my download directory. What I'm doing is I'm typing in the first 3 letters and then hitting tab, and that takes me pretty much to it and hitting enter. So I'm always going to type in CD to do that. So I can do a ls-l, that's to list it. And that shows what I have in there. It says I have that particular file. So what I'm going to do is type in unzip and then fog to unzip it. And then I'm going to type in tar-xvf and then fog again. And that creates all the folders, everything within it. And then what I'm going to do is I want to change over to the fog folder. And you can just type in, you know, pwd, you can tell where you're at. Pwd just shows the path. ls just shows the list. ls-list shows it as the list. So when you type in ls space dash list, just lists it. Those of you who never used Unix before and you're trying to get this to work, that's why I'm explaining it. Those of you who are Unix background, you're going to be asking, why did I bother? So I'm just helping everybody. Just keep that in mind. All right, so now I'm going to need to change over to the bin directory, and I'm going to type in CD to do that again, and I type in the first 2 letters and list that folder, and you see that it has a sketch in there, or a bash file in there. So what I'm going to do is run that program by typing in sudo space period / so that I know that it's root, and then type in the first 2 letters and then hit tab, and then it'll start the process to install the Kubuntu or the Fog Imaging Server. You'll give it your IT admin password. And mine was correct, or else it wouldn't be at this point. And you notice down here at the bottom it has 2 as the default because I am running Kubuntu. So I'll hit enter on it. It says, would you like this type of installation, which is N? Yes, I would. Fog components, and pick this up. You're sure not to what to pick. But yes, I want to pick option N. So I'll just hit enter because that's the default. You notice that this is, what's the IP address used for the Fog server? Well, this is what my default one, which it came up as 192.168.72.162. That's what I need to be able to make the connection to the internet to install all of the components. Would I like to set up a router setup? Yes. Hit enter on it again, and it defaults to saying the 192.168.72.2 is my router access. That's fine. Would you like to set up DNS? Yes. And it defaults to that 127, so this can get you in trouble if you don't put in the actual IP address later on, and it's not going to work. So let me save you some anguish in just typing in what the DHCP DNS is. So hit enter on it. And do I want to change anything about the network? And it's defaulted with N because it's a capitalized, so you can just hit enter. Would I like to use the fog service for DHCP? Yes, I would, and it's already by default in there. Would you like to do an additional language packets? No, I don't need anything else installed in it. Would you like? No, I don't want to donate anything, although it is default as N. And do I wish to continue, which is yes. And everything looks correct. And now it's going to begin the process of installing it. Excuse me. I'm going to go ahead and pause it, and then when it's done installing, just so you can see it, the PHP 5 coming up here, so it's a requirement. It has a bunch of little plugins that are going to come up for it as well. If you take a look at it, see JSON, GD, so there's a bunch of them. So just that's the reason why there's a requirement for it. Okay. And what I did is I hit enter to acknowledge that I want to install it. When it comes up for the MySQL, I know some of you are going to be like, oh, I need to put a password in. Don't. Just leave it blank for this part of the install. You can go back later on and add it to it. Hit enter again for the user. I think it's going to ask me one more time. Hit enter again and leave it blank. Otherwise, you're going to have a failed install. Just go ahead and leave it on there. And then later on, if you're really worried about security, go ahead and add it in there. But I've never had a need to, especially since it was a standalone machine. But everybody does what they need to do. So it's installing the DHCP server. Just kind of walking you through this so you can see it, the TFTP server. Not taking too dreadfully long here. Yeah, I'll go ahead and pause it here. Looks like it'll take a minute or two. Just unpausing here so you can see that everything went through, no problem. Okay. There's nothing failed. You need to make sure of that when you're installing it to make sure that nothing has failed. Did you leave the MySQL blank? Yes, I did. And the default is Y. It's in capital. So if I just hit enter, yes, I did. And it's going through and it's starting the Apache server, and it says to enter to be able to update the installed database. Hit enter on it. And it's setting up CLAM right now. Oh, a bunch of other things as well. NFS file system. You don't have to send notification. You can if you like. It is helpful to fog, so it has finished. And if according to the way this is fog is the username and password is the password. So I'm going to right click on this link here and say open link. And this is the one thing you have to do as the last install here. Click upgrade and install, so it basically puts a table inside of the MySQL database here, which is a dump. So let's go ahead and upgrade it, and the database is set up. It's ready to log in. Put in fog and password. And now we are ready. And without further ado, we're definitely going to take an image, but I just want you to take a look at this too and see that we're going to change this password. We're going to change the settings to it. We don't need to set up an image first. We don't need to do anything else first. But there's one thing that I like as a preference in the fog server. So I'm going to click on the fog configuration, and I want to turn on a feature within, I believe, the Pixie menu boot, and I want to do the advanced login menu. And the reason is it puts a little bit more of a little better menu to go in through, and you can customize the name that you're going to add to it to register it, which we're going to do a little bit later on. All right, we have internet access. and we can get to the internet, but now we need to use the fog server in a real world application. So it's not going to be connected to the internet anymore, but since now we've got everything done, we need to change the IP address. So if I wanted to, for example, right now, you go back here and you can see this. Whoops, did not want to do any editing there. But as you can see, the IP address is currently set up under this. So we need to change that IP address now. So let's start that kind of a grueling process here. So let's go back to our fog server and let's change everything that we can pretty much within the fog itself. So we want to go to the fog configuration. Actually, you know what? Before I do that, I want to change the main IP address first. So let's click on the network icon. Let's bring up the wired connection and let's change the IP address to the one that we want this to be. And I'm going to pick under IPv4, change the automatic to manual, and I want to go ahead and add the IP address, and I want to change mine to 10.0.0.1. That's what I want mine to be. And I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And it's saying it was deactivated. And it said, it looks like it's connected again. Let's hit edit. I see that the settings remained. Oh, whoops, I did not want to close out of that. I did not want to close out of the fog for right now. I don't know if that's going to affect it right at the moment. So let's see if it'll still let me go to it under this one. Whereas I'm kind of stuck. Yep, I figured that. Let's see what it does if I put in the new IP address. Yeah, it let me still go in there. I don't know how many things it's going to let me change at the moment. Hopefully everything I need. Okay, well, it's letting me in there, so let's go through and start changing the settings. Okay, normal that this changes. We could actually do this one first. Sometimes that's the one I forget after I've got everything done. So I'm going to click on failed to connect, disk management. And then what I want to do is I want to edit that. Well, I might have to do that one last. I'm going to go ahead and back to the fog configuration. Let's go to the fog settings. Start going down the list here. Let's see. I don't think I need to do anything under boot. Yeah, host register. Now I know there's one that I need to change under general. General settings, let's see. I hate that how it does this in this virtual world. There it is, general settings. And let's go down here. Let's change this IP address. 10.0.0.1. I'm just going to copy this so I don't have to keep hand typing it back in. Got to make sure you click save settings on each one of those that you change to, by the way. Let's come down here. And the next one is going to be, oh, let's see, the NFS server. Yeah, well, let me get in there, change anything in there. Let's go to the TFTP server. Let's change that IP address. Let's go to the Pixie image server, change that IP address. Save the changes. Let's go down to the web server. And let's change that IP address. Yeah. Save the changes. And I think we pretty much got all the ones we can do in the graphical mode. That NFS server one is going to be a bear to get to. Let's see. Yeah, because it has no settings here, but we need to change that on the main page. My memory serves me right. I got to remember how to get to that. It's under server management, and then edit it for me here. Oh, it was in here. Okay. So that, sorry, that's what I did. So to change the storage, go to storage management, and we need to change where it's pointing all of the images to go to, and I'm going to click on the default storage name, and I need to change this IP address right here. Back to that one as well. Update. And that pretty much takes care of that. All right, that's everything we can do in the graphical means. Now what we need to do is we need to edit a setup file to change all of those settings too. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our terminal mode here again, and I'm going to type in sudo, and then I'm going to type in Kate, which is like a Windows editing type of format with a graphical interface, and I'm going to go to a folder, and I'm going to edit a file under OPT, and then fog, and then I'm going to put period. I put in FOG, and then it's fog settings. You need to change this, so we're going to bring it up into the display here, and you notice that it has pretty much everything that's in here. I think pretty much everywhere we go, we can pretty much change this. It's definitely going to be the IP address we need to change to that. No, it didn't copy over, so. And I'm going to take that, and since the DNS and everything else needs to point back to the actual machine itself, pretty much all of these other ones are going to change. So all I'm going to do is go to edit and then replace. I want to replace 192.168.72.2 with that number. Replace all. And then I'm going to say save. And yes, you are wondering, geez, man, that's a lot to change on here. And yeah, it is. So I'm going to reboot this. So I'm going to type in sudo reboot. And there's one, actually, you know what? Before I do that, we should do it this way. We should do the setup file and then reboot the last part of it. So let's go. Nah, I think it's better to reboot. Let's just do it. Sudo reboot. Almost done. There's really no point in pausing this video because it's so fast. All right. Log back in, and then we want to do one final setup here. We actually want to run the fog server script again. There's a setting that's in there that I haven't quite found how to change, which is internally, which is taking a little bit of time to even figure out how to change all of these, right? So what I'm going to do is just make things easy, and we're just going to do the final change on this, and you want to do it in the order that I've just done it in. Believe me, there's a reason why to the madness. Sudo, so let's change over to the downloads folder, cd to the fog folder, then to the cd to the ben folder, whoops, cd to ben, and then now I want to type in sudo period / install. Okay. And it just thinks I'm going to be upgrading it now, which it does. See, it read that file, and you notice that it changed all the IP addresses in here, which was good. Answer yes, and it's going to go through extremely fast because it knows that it doesn't have to do any updates on it, but it does make the final changes to make that IP address work. Enter on it to acknowledge it. They go through with it. can't remember if it asked me about the password for the MySQL database again. Kind of good for you to see it. It definitely took less time than it took to install them from the first time, but pretty much going through this. Yeah, web server, starting on the applications, which is good. Enter to acknowledge it. Everything is looking good. Yeah, I don't care that there's some kind of update. No, I'm not going to send notifications. I don't even have a connection to do so. Let's right click on it here and go to the link again, just like before. All right, it's looking good. Let's make sure the server's in there. Disk information looks like everything's loaded up. Looks like it found it. Everything is good. All right, so the true thing is to test it. All my IP addresses, everything reflects to that now, so that's good. And what I want to do now, since I have removed it, I want to remove it out of the NAT or the subnet that I have it in. So I want to go to Manage by right-clicking on the settings on my VM. Actually, no, I want to go to Settings. And then what I want to do is I want to change it to a LAN segment that I've already set up, and I'm going to call it Kubuntu 101. If you haven't done it, just click on LAN segments and then add one in if you don't have it. Okay, so I'm putting mine in Kubuntu 101. Sometimes that doesn't make Linux too happy when you do that, which is okay. I just see it responding right now. So now it reactivated again, so it did work. So now what I want to do is I have Windows 10 all set up on here already. So this is like a regular Windows 10. So what I want to do is I want to right click on it and then go to settings on here, and I want to change that network adapter. Instead of Linux, I want to change it to my Kubuntu 101 so that they're both going to be connected in the same environment. Now that I want to image it as well, I want to register it first. So what I want to do is I want to right click on it, and I want to go to power, and I want to say power to firmware on power up. So I can set it to boot to the network card. I suppose you could just boot it if you wanted to. That would be another way to do it, but I'm going to use the network boot. Go up to save it and say F10, and then OK it. And then what I'm going to do is if everything's going good, it's going to pop up, which it's doing right now. It's registering it. And there we go. We got the screen come up, and let's do a perform a full host registration. By the way, I turned that on when we select on the PXE environment settings. We turned that on before, so I wanted to have this so I could actually give it a name that I wanted to call it. So you wait here a minute while it's booting up and it's recognizing the system here. And I want to call this Win10. Whoops. Hit enter on it, and all the rest of the settings you can just hit enter on. You don't need to enter a license code or anything else. I suppose you could if you wanted to, but it's not necessary. So I did just register it. So what I want to do is I need to turn this off because I just don't want it to boot up again. But by the way, this Windows 10 has not been sysprepped. So that's one of the nice advantages that you can do with this, is you don't have to sysprep it with this fog imaging. And this is the reason why I'm showing it again, because I'm also an avid user of Windows deployment services, and there are some instances that you cannot get something to sysprep because of the software that's installed on it, which is I've just encountered lately. But you know, I'm still moving forward now. However, all the images I've ever done, I've always been able to sysprep, something I've installed myself. But I don't know. So there's this situation where I can do this and, you know, get this working. So let's go back and take a look at Kubuntu's fog imaging server here real quick. There we go. It was on the list before. Fog. And then let's do the password. And let's go ahead and click on our host management, and let's take a look by listing all hosts. And there's that host. So we see it in here. So what I need to do is I need to create an image to do this. And something I need to tell you about too, about the way this image is. You think download is either like you're downloading from the image, but you got to get these two concepts right. So upload means upload the image to it. So that means take an image from something else and upload it into this one. And then to actually deploy another one is to download it. And that concept is kind of weird to me, and it probably is to a lot of other people too. So just wanted to go over it. So the first thing I want to do is go to the image management. And I want to create a new image, and I'm going to call this image Win10. Okay? And I'm going to come down here, and the default is fine. And what I want to do is I want to say that this is Windows 8 or Windows 7 or above, or sorry, Windows 8.1 or above. And then I want to select on here the option multiple partition, single disk, not resizable. Yes, that's a pain, especially if you have different size hard drives. So if you're going to do it on a bunch of computers, you're going to need to do it on that size, or you're going to manually go back and resize those partitions. So the technology doesn't quite expand one yet. It does not work on the resizable option. It just does not work, period. So I'm going to go ahead and add this. And then what I want to do is I need to go back to list all images, all my host images again. And then what I need to do is I need to select that image now. So I need to edit it. This is my Windows 10 that I typed in. So I'm going to edit it. I need to come down here and then select that Windows 10 image, and I'm done. So now what? Well, I'm done for the most part for getting all the image set up. So I need to go back to host management, list all hosts, and what I want to do is I want to upload an image to this. So I'm going to click on the upload tab. All right, and I'll finally do it says schedule an instant deployment as soon as it boots up. And if I want to check on the status of this, I can click on task management, and you can see that it's ready here. So I'll come back to this once we boot this one up. I'm going to my Windows 10 here, power it on. You can see that it's going to connect. Boom, it's going to go right into the imaging sequence here. This is always a good sign where it says BZ image int XZ. It's okay. And it's going through, it's going to copy the first partition. As you can see right here, it's saying the first one. Copy that one. This is one, there's two partitions on this one. And it's going through to do those, which is good. And then it's going to start the second process. You see what it says right here? It's saying the SDA1. And then it's doing that one, and now it's going to start to copy the other one, and then you know that you're good. And I'll wait to do this just so you can see this process, and now it's starting the secondary partition. See right here? It's saying SAT DA, so now it's going to do the one that's going to take a little bit longer. Actually, it looks like it's going to do 3. Let's see here. Must have been a recovery partition. Okay, there it goes. There's the third one. So that's the one that's 63 gigs. Go back to the fog imaging so you can see that it's in progress here. Just starting. You see the line just turning green right over here. Yep. You can see there's actually a percentage being done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back, I'm going to pause it, and I'll pause it and let it stay on this particular one. Whoops, didn't mean to run my Arduino, but I'm going to pause this right now. Alright, looks like everything is imaged. Let's go back to the fog server so it looks like it's booted back up to Windows 10. Let's go to the fog server and list all images. And since I got an image in here, you can see it. Looks like it's 59 gigabits. Hang on here a sec. Excuse me. Alright. And if I list all hosts, and my Windows 10. So what I want to do here is I want to deploy that now. So I can show you that, guys, that it does deploy. So let's create a new VM. And let's call it the Windows 10 machine here. And we select Windows 10 64-bit. And let's call this Test 101. Let me change the drive where it's going here again. All right. 60 gigs is fine. I'm going to change the hardware and the NAT controller to go to the LAN segment of Kubuntu 101. Finish, and what I need to do is I need to boot this up and register this machine. So to register it, it'll come up here, and as soon as it boots up, you want to drop down in the menu here, and I'll do perform a full registration host and inventory. I'm going to go ahead and call this one, when it comes up, YouTube -clone. Hit enter on the rest of them to be able to register that name. Excuse me. All right. And it will stay there, and let's go back and say list all hosts, and you'll see I have the YouTube clone down here. So I need to set this one up as the image, so I need to put that image in there by editing it, and I want to change that option to the Windows 10 image and then allow update for it. And once this comes up, list all hosts, and what I want to do is I want to download it to this image, to that one computer. So we'll download to it, set up the task, allow it to run, and if I click on the task management, you see that it's sitting there waiting to download. Now I can boot this one up. All I got to do is restart it. Oh, I shut it down. Yeah, started bad. This is really restarting it too. So it'll start the image process. It's going to find it, recognize that's the one I'm looking for. And it's getting ready to throw the image out there. Going through, started off. Looks like it's getting ready to write a partition table already. It's writing the first one here. So the smaller one, I think there was 3 partition tables it wrote. This is a 500 megabit one. You can see it right there. Then there was another one. Maybe this is the full one. Looks like it is. Yep, looks like the full one. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll pause this so you can see that it's deploying to the Test 101 machine. No issues. Yeah, I'll just pause it until it's finished, and then we'll come back. Okay, everybody, it's all done. Everything worked. I can log into it. I'm now logged into the Test 101. There's my previous one there. So here's the second one here, and you can see that it works. It's made a complete copy of it. Imaging is quite a bit faster than the first time it takes the image because it definitely compresses it, but it is working. As you can see, this is Windows 10 that has been copied or cloned for deployment on a network. And you can see I still have 83 days left for my evaluation period on it. This is the evaluation version of 10. So fog imaging has completed. I don't know if there's any stats we can see so far that this thing has run, but it can at least say, you know what, we got space, how much space is left on it. You can see that there's a hard drive is in use. We have the one image that we created that's in here. So yes, everything's done, and thank you very much for joining us, and please click on subscribe. Definitely you like the video, give me a thumbs up on it. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye now.